To actually get them through. I spoke with two lawmakers who fall on very different sides of the debate, both of whom were directly affected by gun violence. Two lawmakers with viscerally personal experiences with gun violence on complete opposite sides of the gun debate.
I urge my colleagues to vote yes on H.R. 8, the Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2019. It is time.
This is a bad gun control bill. We ought to reject it.
Congresswoman Lucy McBath's son, Jordan Davis, was murdered in 2012. That, and the fight for more restrictive gun laws, is the reason she's in Congress today.
The fact that I am here and I ran on a platform of gun violence prevention, when people kept telling me, don't do it, that's suicide, you can't win, the numbers aren't there. I wasn't the only one that ran on this platform. But this was my #1 platform because it's the right thing to do.
McBath, a Democrat, notched an upset victory in November after 6 years of gun advocacy and a campaign that didn't shy away from the issue.
And in the end, I will always just be a mother on a mission.
Steve Scalise moments from death in 2017 after he and Republican colleagues were targeted by a gunman at a congressional baseball practice. Now both at the center of the debate, as the Democrat-controlled House took the most substantive legislative steps on the issue in more than 2 years. A Capitol Hill reality, one driven less by outside money and political influence and more by personal belief systems. And when it comes to guns and the Second Amendment, there is no clear bipartisan path forward to significant changes.
You know, what happened to me with the shooting in 2017, it didn't change the way I view issues, especially the Second Amendment and gun rights, but it really strengthened my beliefs because people were expecting for some reason that I might change my views.
For McBath, it was the exact opposite. Her experience is why she's a key player in the legislative debate now.
Well, no one ever wants to be in my shoes. And so to be able to, I guess, bear that burden, carry that mantle, and bring that mantle here to Washington and really be able to affect change is extremely important. People are depending on me.
It's something that has turned her into a natural leader on the issue for Democrats.
By turning her grief and her tragedy into action and courage to run for Congress, to stand on this floor and share her personal story with us, that takes real courage.
And Scalise into a key voice for Republicans opposed to those efforts.
For those who want to limit the rights of law-abiding citizens to own and possess a gun, I think it's important to show the other side of how guns are used to help save lives. And in my case, it was people with guns who confronted the shooter and are the reason that I'm here today.
Both are keenly aware that those roles will likely only grow in the months ahead. McBath pledging a step-by-step process for more restrictions. Scalise countering that the current laws on the books are enough.
One of the things I think we ought to put real focus on is holding people accountable that fail all of us. If an area of government breaks down and doesn't do its job, there are a lot of laws on the books, by the way, that don't get enforced properly, that aren't used, and crimes are committed because somebody didn't do their job right. And yet government never goes to hold those people accountable. They say, let's pass another law that's not going to work, that's actually going to make it harder for law-abiding citizens. So that's where the focus ought to be.
As the search continues for some way to bridge such a significant divide.
I don't think there's anyone, Republican or Democrat, wants a child to have access to a gun and inadvertently hurt or maim themselves as an accident. I don't think any of us want that. We want to make sure our children are cared for and protected. So that is definitely a measure that I think that we can really find some common ground on.
That was my conversation with Congressman Steve Scalise, Congresswoman Lucy McBath, and it's worth noting that the House passed bills were bipartisan, 8 Republicans on one of the bills, 2 Republicans on the other, but the Senate-controlled, Senate Republican-controlled Senate is made very clear they're not going to take up these gun bills anytime soon. And it just kind of underscores this divide. You've seen the wave of activism. You've seen the students, particularly from Parkland. And then you look on the House floor during this debate, and this is what I was struck by. And you see Steve Scalise on one side, Lucy McBath on the other side, and realize that in terms of a final solution, at least at a federal legislative level, Christy, it seems like we're still kind of a ways away from that.
My goodness. Yeah, you're right. Very nice.